Okay, thanks everyone for joining us. Today we have Chris McCormack live from Boise, Idaho, to talk about traveling around to national parks in the United States. Thanks for joining us, Chris.
How you doing, Paul? Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really, really appreciate your time and really just, taking time out of your day to be here to check out my presentation about, my experiences traveling around the national parks in America. Some of the tips that I can give you to maybe, if you've never been there or you want to take a trip, you don't know how to do that. I'd love to help you accomplish that goal. Let me just get ready. So my name is Chris McCormack. I'm from New Jersey, and right now I'm actually on a 6-week road trip through America right now. I've been camping out the last 3.5 weeks in the northern states of America. And it's been a hell of a trip. I'll tell you that much. It's been very cold at sometimes. Some nights, stars have been absolutely amazing. I mean, just them twinkling at you, and there's just hundreds and millions of stars. I'm sorry, I ramble a lot sometimes. I love what I do. I'm a traveler, of course, so I've been backpacking for 8 years now, actually. Started my traveling career going to Australia when I was 20 years old, and was just hooked and knew the second that I started traveling that I was going to be doing this for the rest of my life, and I needed to figure out how to do that. And slowly but surely, I have been, collecting all these experiences and these memories, and along the way actually became, or always was, a humanitarian, but even went a step further to start a baseball foundation after my trip to Cuba. Went there for 6 weeks and just fell in love with the people there. They're just really, really kind, genuine people who love baseball. I love baseball. I still play baseball, and was able to collect a lot of baseball equipment in donations, a lot of financial donations, and was able to bring the baseball equipment from New Jersey to Cuba and hand it out to people along the way. I'm also a photographer, so I've been doing that longer than my traveling career, but every year I've been getting better and better, and you'll definitely see that in some of the photos in today's presentations from our national parks. And like I said, I've been doing the public speaking now for about 5 years, which is pretty remarkable to think about. The journey is just so amazing. And my favorite title of all time, though, is I'm Uncle Chris. I have 2 nephews and a niece, and they motivate me, inspire me to be the best that I can be every single day of my life, and to, really set an example for them to go after, and, not just dream about their dreams, but make a plan, write it down, and, attack your goals. So today we're going to be talking about not only the national parks in America, but we're going to be talking about the national forests, which really kind of get overlooked in America. And I could understand why, because the national parks are just massive, amazing displays of nature, and truly make you proud to be, American, and really be proud of where you come from. The difference, though, with a national forest is that a lot of the times you can go to these places and camp there for free. So, for example, this picture right here is from the Mogollon Rim in Payson, Arizona. And this campsite was free. I didn't have to check in to anyone, talk to anybody. The campsite was numbered. And I'm going to show you the app that you can use to find these campsites, not just in Arizona, but really all over the country. Now, the national parks, again, like I said, they are just titans and just absolutely amazing places that I'm so grateful for that we have. I actually went to the Adirondack Mountains for the first time this year, up by Lake Placid, Keene Valley area, and I really felt some national park vibes there for sure, even though they're technically not considered a national park. And to be honest, I'm actually kind of happy that they're not considered a national park, because they're even more under the radar, than national forest. But what a absolutely spectacular area to visit up there. in the Adirondacks. Now, this photo is from Acadia National Park. If you've never been there, it's definitely worth the drive. I would recommend you going there during the spring and the summer. Maybe not so, and the fall too, but maybe not so much in the winter, as I'm learning on this trip, going to some national parks on the top third portion of America. You know, sometimes the national park, a lot of the accessibility will be closed during the winter times. And it's not that I didn't know that going into it. But, you know, sometimes people, you know, maybe not be aware of that. And, you know, when you go to these national parks, for example, during the winter, it's nice to have, I mean, there was times I had the whole entire national park to myself because, you know, it was 15 degrees outside and there's nobody there. And you literally feel like you have the entire national park to yourself. It's really quite remarkable feeling to have and to be able to explore that on your own. Now, what's the difference between a national park and a national forest? Well, they're governed by two different entities. National Park Service obviously has a national park, and the U.S. Forest System are responsible for the national forest. Now, the biggest differences between the national parks and the national forests are that the national forests, they can be used for grazing, cattling, logging. You can go ride your ATVs there. Some of them you can even go hunting there. You can go fishing. There's a lot more recreational activities at a national forest, whereas a national park is purely about preserving what we have received from, you know, our forefathers from, you know, generation after generation, and really trying to maintain that as much as possible and keep it as pristine and as original as it used to be. Now it's a little bit difficult with, you know, forest fires and pollution, and also in cases like us in New Jersey or New York, you know, with the lantern flies. I don't know if you guys have that in New York, but in New Jersey, we got bombarded with the lantern flies there for sure. 1 second, sorry about that. So yeah, that's the biggest difference, is there's a lot more recreational activities, a lot more extreme sport activities that you can do in a national forest. And of course, the biggest difference are the entrance fees for national parks and national forests. You know, it's pretty interesting to see how much America has changed. There's a local bookstore by my house in New Jersey where I get all my books for. I mean, you can walk in there with a ShopRite bag and fill the bag up with as many books as possible, and the entire bag costs $5. So I got a guide to the U.S. National Parks book, but it was from 1987, I think. Now, in terms of the trails, those haven't changed much, but I thought it was really interesting to see how much the entrance fees have changed. So for Crater Lake National Park, I believe it said that in the 80s, it was a $3 fee to get into Crater Lake National Park for 7 days. Obviously, those days are long gone. And when you're planning a trip to do national parks, whether it's a road trip or maybe you're flying out to northern Arizona or Las Vegas and you're going to hit some of the national parks in Utah, these entrance fees can really add up. So Zion National Park, which is in Utah, $35 right when you get there. $35, good for 7 days. Grand Teton National Park, $35. And now again, if you're on a road trip, these can really start to add up very quickly on you, especially if you're in Utah, when you have, you're in driving range of at least 3 or 4 national parks. So then they're all going to be $35 because these are titans of the national park world due to the proximity of the other national parks. And especially for people who have the mindset of, I want to see as many national parks as possible. I want to go to 7 national parks in 5 days. I get that. Might not be in your best interest to practice that. Might not be in your best interest to practice that philosophy, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Ann Chodosh, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Ann has a question. First off, Ann, thanks for being here today. I really appreciate it. Ann's question is it is the fee per person or per car? It is per car. Now, I believe if you have an RV and there's 50 people in the RV, things might get a little hairy there. I'm not too sure. I don't have an RV, but I know for a fact that it's per car. Thank you for your question. And if anybody has any questions or comments, please feel free to write it in the chat box. This doesn't have to be, me talking the entire time. I'd love to answer your questions and, hear what you guys have to say. If you want to wait for the end, we can do that as well. So North Rim Grand Canyon, so yes, the Grand Canyon is one place. However, there are two different entrances I think there's two entrances to the Grand Canyon National Park. There's the North Rim and the South Rim, both going to be $35 per person. And I don't believe that they are honored. So if you go from the north to the south, I don't believe they're honored. I do believe you have to pay two separate fees. Now, if you were really up to make that drive, it might take you a couple of days to get there. So it probably would have run out of time anyway by the time the limit runs out. But again, so, North Rim Grand Canyon is $35 per car. One of my favorite national parks to go to, Glacier National Park, $35. Now, not every single national park is going to be $35 per car. However, when you're talking about the monsters, the titans of the national park world, they're going to be at least $35. And I'm sure they're looking to raise the price every year. I know that they raised the price for the national park passes, which we're going to talk about right now. So how can we save money on a road trip to maximize our experiences, to maximize our dollar, and to really make us feel like we are having the greatest experience, the greatest trip ever, while exploring our country? So National Park Service offers the America the Beautiful Pass. Now, there are 6 different kinds of passes that you could, that are available. The first one is annual. So I believe that's from when you're 18 to 61 years old, you get the annual pass. That's $80, one-time fee, $80, and that's good for 1 year. So you could go to 17 national parks in 17 days, if that's even physically possible. But if you wanted to do that, you would only pay the $80 fee for the annual card one time. So how does that work? You approach the gate. There'll be a little house, security shack. And basically you just show them your pass, show them your driver's license, have it ready, give it to them. They look at it, and then you are right on your way, and you have the whole national park in the country for as many days as you want for the entire year. Now, what's really cool, which I think it's a nice implementation that they did for us, the consumer, the traveler, the explorer, the America the Beautiful Pass, you can actually have 2 signatures on the back of the card. So if anybody wanted to, let's say you have a cousin who lives in California, or you and your friend want to go on a road trip, and the $80, it's a little much. I don't know if I want to commit myself to that. No problem. You and your friend can sign the annual card on the back, and you can split the cost for $40 each. So now you didn't even pay $80 to see every national park in America for as many days as you want in 1 year. You paid $40 for that. That is amazing. That's amazing. I mean, I still think the $80 is a great deal, but you could do that as well and split the fee 40-40 with somebody. The other one is the military. So if you're an active military member, if you're a veteran, you do have to apply for this card every year, but you will get free access to national parks, rightfully so. Thank you for your service, or thank you for your ongoing service if you are still active in the military. The 4th grade pass, what I think is really interesting to me, how they even came up with 4th grade. So if you have a child who's in 4th grade, they can apply for this 4th grade America the Beautiful Pass, and it is free. You can go to any national park you want for free. for that school year that the child is in 4th grade. So if you have 3 kids and they're in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, well, you got free access to national parks for 3 years in a row if you play your cards right. Now, the senior pass, there are 2 different types of senior passes, both starting at the age of 62. The first senior pass is the lifetime senior pass. $20, $80 for the rest of your life, and that's it. Done. You have to pay for it one time, and you have the annual senior pass for the remainder of your life. If you don't want to commit to that because maybe you're unsure if you're actually going to use it, or maybe you've never done it before, then you can just do an annual senior pass, which is $20. So I know once I turn 62, I will be applying for the lifetime senior pass because that's going to be well used, and that'll be nice to have that for the remainder of my life instead of getting a new one every single year. The access pass, which is for anybody who is permanently handicapped. So if you or is disabled, so if you have a broken leg or if you have a broken arm, you do not apply for that pass. I'm sorry for that. And then they have the volunteer pass, where if you are volunteering 250 hours of your time to a program or an organization that is connected with a National Park Service, then you can get your National Park Pass for free for that 1 year though. So 250 hours to get a free pass, or maybe just pay the $80. Not sure if that's really worth it. I don't know. That's just me. We got a question here from Clarice Curry. Hey, Clarice, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Clarice says, if you buy these passes, do you still have to pay the $35 per car to get it? Clarice, once you get these passes, you are good. You don't have to pay anything for 1 whole year until you get the other card for the next year. That's the beauty of the America the Beautiful Pass, is that it's good for 1 calendar year, and all you have to do is when you arrive to these national parks is show them the card, show them your driver's license. They'll look at it and they go, oh, yep, looks great. Enjoy your time. And make sure you get a map and a little packet of information. I love getting those things. They're so cool. So thank you for your question, Clarice. Really appreciate that. So moving on. So again, it is so worth the $80 to explore our beautiful country. It doesn't matter if you're in Alaska, if you go to the national park in Guam, California, the Virgin Islands, it all applies to the national parks. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Again, you can enjoy these moments, these memories with your family, your friends. Maybe you need to take some time to yourself and just maybe reflect, take a trip, relax, do what you have to do, maybe just get away. It's really worth it. It really is. And especially to see all these different landscapes in America, growing up in New Jersey, when I first started traveling around the world, because I've done a lot more foreign traveling than I have domestic, but I'm starting to catch up. But, I always remember saying to myself when I would travel foreign, to places like Myanmar, and Morocco, and Cuba, and Australia, I'd say to myself, wow, these places are so beautiful. It's amazing. And I was grateful and I appreciated those moments, but it just wasn't my land. It wasn't where I was from. I couldn't really fully grasp what that meant. And to be able to go and see our national parks and even our national forests, it makes me so proud to be American. It makes me so proud that our country is so beautiful, especially the West. It's really captivating out here. And I've been driving from New Jersey. I drove all the way to the Pacific Ocean. Like I said, I'm on a 4-week trip right now, or I'm in week 4 of a 6-week trip, or I don't even know. I lost count. I've been so cold, I don't even know. But, it really puts it in perspective for you when you see these places and just see how vast, how different it is out there in America. Whether that's driving through the plains in Iowa or seeing the Grand Tetons in Wyoming, or even going to the beach in California, it's really remarkable. So I think the National Park Pass, America the Beautiful Pass, is definitely worth it. This is a touchy subject for me right here, the shuttle service at these national parks. So obviously, as you can tell, this is summertime. This is not wintertime at Glacier National Park, because Glacier National Park is not open during the winter because of how much snow they get. Now, the shuttle services, I think they're coming from a good place. I think they're coming from a really good intentions. I just think that the execution of them are not the best. Let's just say that. So, for example, you have these vans right here, and there are some bigger modes of transportation. For example, at Glacier National Park, there are some bigger modes, but Glacier, like I said before, I'm going to continue to say, is one of the monster national parks in terms of popularity. And although the shuttle services, like I said, they're coming from a good place, but you could be waiting in line for hours if you don't get to the shuttle line. I'm talking first thing in the morning. The shuttles start at 9. You got to get there at 7:55 if you want to get on that first one and not wait more than an hour until that thing opens up, because there's so many people going to these places, rightfully so. They're absolutely beautiful. But these shuttles start to, kind of take away from our experiences a little bit, because we're kind of, we're waiting on a line. I'm not here to go to Six Flags and wait on a line to go on a roller coaster. I'm here to, go on a trail or go to a different part of the national park. Now, I might be being a little critical, because they definitely get overwhelmed with a lot of people. So like I said, I respect the intention, but a lot of the shuttle services do have, a lot of the bigger national parks do have shuttle services. I think one of the best shuttle services that I've experienced was at Zion National Park. They had school buses of people, and that is what I'm talking about right there. Like, the whole line would move. There's enough buses. There's enough people getting on the buses. It wasn't a, complete distraction to your experience. So they're good to have. They're great. It's just that you got to time them right. You really do. And here's another downside of some of the shuttle services. This picture is taken maybe 35 minutes from each other. And that's how fast the weather can change sometimes, so pretty remarkable. And these are people waiting on a line for a bus, AKA van in this case. And, it can get really frustrating if you're with your family, but, it's good to take advantage of the shuttle services if you can, maximize that for yourself. So now this might seem kind of obvious. Plan ahead, of course, right? Why would we, go on a road trip and not plan? Well, some of us, I used to be really bad at this. I used to not plan anything, anywhere. Didn't matter if I was going to Africa for months. I did not plan anything. It didn't matter if I was going to Asia. I just got on a plane and I figured it out. Funny story real quick, actually. One time I was in Asia and I was leaving Thailand on a bus, and about 4 or 5 hours into the bus ride, I struck up a conversation with the guy across the aisle from me. And I said, wow, I'm really excited to go to Laos. I think it's going to be a really cool place. I've never been there before. Have you been there? And he looked at me like I was crazy. Like I was absolutely crazy. And I knew he spoke English because I heard him talking English to somebody. And I said, are you excited? He goes, for what? I'm like, for Laos. He goes, what do you mean? I was like, the bus is going to Laos. Are you excited for that? And he actually looked at me with this most serious look. And he said to me, this bus is going to Cambodia right now. What are you talking about? So somewhere in the transfers and the random bus stops to pick up chickens and goats, I missed the connection to go to Laos, and I ended up going to Cambodia for 4 weeks instead. So now you're probably wondering, how does this tie back into planning ahead? So planning ahead is so important, especially in America, because these national parks are going to be busy. If you're going during the summertime, late spring, they are going to be mobbed. So if you're going to, you want to have your reservations figured out, whether you're staying at a hotel or a motel, maybe you're going to be staying at a campground. It's really important, really, really important you plan ahead. And even more vital to your trip is planning what definites do you want to do on your trip. That's the number one piece of advice I could give somebody when they're trying to plan their trip. I'm talking in terms of right now, just a road trip or seeing America, is what are your definites? So for me, on this road trip that I'm on right now, for me, my definites, have to see them at all costs, does not matter, was Crater Lake National Park in Oregon, which is this lake right here, if you can see it on the map. And I absolutely had to see the redwoods in California, which naively, I thought that was just in one location. I was wrong. They're kind of up and down the West Coast a little bit, and they're even a little bit right here. Some of the bigger sequoias, they're also known as, and redwoods, they're in this area right here. So for me on this trip, those are my absolute definites. I had to see Crater Lake and the redwoods. So I built my trip around that. So this map that you're looking at is actually from a road trip that I did when I was living in Arizona. I drove up to Glacier and then drove over to Jersey, from Rockaway, New Jersey, by the way. And for me in that trip, my definites were, take the shortcut to Jersey and head up to Glacier National Park first and see what it's like. I mean, I had always dreamed of Montana, especially Flathead Lake, which was a little underwhelming. Okay, I'm sorry. Now I'm getting distracted. So you really need to plan ahead. What are your definites? What do you want to see? And then go from there. The route should be built around your definites. Now, I know that might sound really obvious, but the reason I say that is because when we're driving across America, you're going to see a lot of really cool things and a lot of really unique opportunities that you had either never heard of before, you've never considered it until you were driving by it, or you just didn't even think about it. And the reason why this is important is because it's about quality over quantity when we travel, especially when we travel, whether it's a vacation, whether it's a sabbatical. Anytime we are traveling, I really want you to remember this. It's about quality over quantity. Yes, you can go see 5 national parks in 6 days in Utah, but you're going to be in the car more than you're going to be on a trail or relaxing. I mean, the whole point of traveling is to get out of that rat race mentality, is to really zoom out, take yourself out of that environment of, I got to be here, I got to go there, I really want to see this. Relax. Everybody relax. You need to really take the time to reflect, think, just go for a walk somewhere and not have to worry about, oh, well, I have to be in Zion today, and then I have to go to Bryce Canyon tomorrow, and then I have to go to Capitol Reef the next day. It's too much. It's way too much. And then you start putting pressure on yourself. And I totally understand that people want to go to as many places as possible. But for me, and I learned this the hard way after my trip to Europe, I did 6 countries in 5 weeks. How can you even see a country like that? You can't. And this is when that mindset really hit in for me of, I would rather dive into a country for weeks at a time instead of going to multiple different ones along the way and spreading myself too thin and putting pressure on myself and just burning myself out. Whereas, again, the whole point of traveling, vacation, is to relax, is to have a good time. And I always find it funny when I hear, I know a lot of people who are getting married and they're going on honeymoons. And they just don't sound, after they come back from their honeymoon, the 10 days or the 7 days in Venice or Barcelona, wherever they went. It's just, well, yeah, we did this on, day 1, we did this day 2, day 3, day 4. I'm like, well, when did you relax? And they go, oh, well, we never really did, actually. What kind of honeymoon is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's too much. So I understand it's coming from a good place, but we really, really got to remember that it's quality over quantity when we're traveling. And it's really hard to practice that because we want to do all these things. And in terms of a timetable, they are feasible. But in terms of enjoying yourself and actually having a great trip, it's not feasible. You can't have both. Now, this is a perfect segue from the quality over quantity. Some of the best and most vivid memories I have from my road trips that I've done in America have come from the scenic byways and highways. These are routes that you could never possibly imagine yourself on until you see the sign to take a scenic byway. Now, there are some rules for scenic byways and highways that we're going to get to. But I mean, you really want to be in the middle of absolutely nowhere by yourself or with your friends or your family and really see some really beautiful, memorable, photogenic views. You got to take the scenic byways and highways. Now, they might take a little longer. They might take an extra 45 minutes or an extra hour, but you will see a different side of America that you couldn't even possibly imagine until you're actually out there. And what I mean by that is this particular photo was going from Phoenix, Arizona to the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Now, never did I ever expect to even see this. I remember seeing it from, way in the distance. And I said, what is that? I don't even know what that is. And it's just ginormous cliffs in the middle of nowhere with nothing around it, just a road. And I said to myself, that is the most American thing that I'm so happy that we still have, is just a random road with no billboards. There's no apartment complexes or ginormous gas stations. It's just a road. And I think that is so beautiful to me. It's the little things for me, I swear. But now we're going to get into some of the rules about the scenic byways and highways. Some of the rules are this. Unless you absolutely have to take a scenic byway at night, do not take a scenic byway at night. Number 1, you can't see anything anyway, so it doesn't matter. Number 2, you get a flat tire, something happens to your car. When I tell you there's absolutely nothing out here, and that includes cell phone service, nothing, absolutely nothing. So we do have to be a little responsible and a little aware about what we're doing, where we're going when we do these road trips on the scenic byways. Now, like I said, sometimes you have no choice. You have to take a byway at night or they're also called highways. Some of them are highways. Sometimes we got to take them at night to get to the place where we're going because we don't have a major interstate going through. And that's okay. just be a little more aware and be a little more cautious. Maybe, you know, take the turns a little slower than you would. So some of the resources that I use on these road trips. Number one, Gas Buddy. Yeah, that saved me a bunch of money, especially on the West Coast. Now, when I left New Jersey, gas was $3.19. Denise Dunn, I see your question. I'm just going to talk about Gas Buddy real quick, and then I will answer your question for you. I saw, yeah, gas was $3.19 when I left New Jersey. I'm not sure what it is right now, but I am not exaggerating when I say this to you. I saw with my own eyes the other day. California is paying $5.75 for gas right now. $5.75. That's insane to me. I don't know how people live. Denise Dunn has a question here. Hey, Denise, thanks for being here. Really appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Denise says, are these byways marked differently on maps? I don't believe so. I don't think so. They would probably just look like a normal line, a normal highway on a map or a byway on a map. But you'll see signs for the byways when you're driving along some of the highways. Some of them, you know, may not be as obvious as others. You know, might not be on, for example, on the major industrial huge interstates like I-95 or 80 or 90, but they do have books where they will, you know, tell you some of the more scenic byways, and you can maybe plan your trip a little bit around that. But also, you know, like I said, sometimes you'll just find yourself on a random highway. When I say highway, I don't mean, you know, like for us, a highway in the tri-state area are, you know, 8 lanes in each direction, you know, major. Whereas out here, highways are, you know, some of them could be 4 lanes or 2 lanes. So they'll be easier to spot. It'll be easier to say for you to see, like, for example, the last one I just saw in Oregon was the volcanic ash dust scenic byway or something. I don't remember exactly what it is, but when you're driving, you know, you'll definitely notice them because I think people want travelers to see them. So it's a good question, but to answer it very simply, no, I don't think they are marked differently on our maps. So Gas Buddy, I use it to find the cheapest gas. For example, on this road trip, there was a situation where I was running low on gas and I saw a gas station approaching, but I wasn't sure if, you know, I could save maybe 40 cents or 60 cents a gallon, which really adds up pretty fast. And driving through Oregon, I was actually able to save 25 cents a gallon by waiting an extra 5 minutes up the road. So, you know, now Gas Buddy isn't the only app out there. There's probably a bunch. The one that I use is just Gas Buddy. Real quick, I'm going to back out of the presentation real quick. I just want to show you. I want to show you this website that is, how do I do this? Here we go. Here we go. So this website is called campendium.com. Now, again, there's other ones out there, and I'm actually thinking about maybe switching to a new one because this one's starting to get too much for me. Meaning, you know, you got to pay to like just look something so simple up. It's really frustrating. It wasn't always like this. So this is called campendium.com. And this is what I use when I am camping across America, because right now I don't have the budget to do motels or hotels. So I want to thank Paul Doherty, the Larchmont Public Library, and every single one of you who are here right now, because you gave me an excuse to book a hotel room for the night and get a nice warm shower and sleep in a bed. It's been amazing. So thank you. So when I'm not doing that, I'll be driving as far as I can. And usually I try to get to these places before sundown, because it's just, it's nice to see where you're camping and your surroundings a little bit. And one of the best campsites I've had on this trip so far was right outside the Badlands National Park in South Dakota. So for example, you would type in wherever you are. So for the right here, right now, we're going to type in Badlands National Park. And like I said, there's other apps and websites that do the same exact thing that we're doing right now. I just started using Campendium at first, but I'm looking to switch. So it's just kind of annoying. So what's cool about Campendium is that it'll show you campgrounds that are free to $100. Why anybody would pay $100 to go camping is beyond me, but per night, that's a whole nother story. So this particular campground is literally on the edge of the Badlands. Can everybody see that? I hope you can. And I actually slept here for a night, and it was absolutely unbelievable. I mean, it was so quiet. I could hear my heartbeat. I couldn't hear anything, nothing. There was nothing. And then I started my fire, and I heard the crackling and the popping. And then, about an hour after sunset, the coyotes started to howl in the distance from every direction possible. I mean, it was beautiful. I loved it. It was amazing. I had a full moon right above me, and this was free. So some of the catches are, okay, there's no bathroom, there's no showers, no facilities. But, a lot of times people will bring, look at this thing. This thing's camping on the side of a cliff. And, clearly the road's not too bad to get there, because if that's able to get there, then it's not that bad. This guy brought a bus out there. I mean, that looks like a rock star bus to me. So like I said, this is called Campendium. It's a great website. I like the intention of it, but I think they're starting to get a little greedy, honestly. I really do. And, yeah, so whenever I'm driving, I'll just go into Campendium. Where do you want to camp? Type it in, and let's see if there's any campgrounds in Larchmont, New York, real quick. Parchment, nope. All right, I guess there's no campgrounds in Larchmont. Sorry. We're gonna head back to the presentation. 1 second. Switch this. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I really appreciate it. I love what I do. I really do. I really, really do. All righty. Recreation.gov, probably the most non-user friendly website in the history of the World Wide Web. This would be the website you use if you wanted to book your campgrounds at national parks. Good luck doing that. They fill up 8 months in advance. So talk about planning ahead. And another thing about Campendium is that, I was staying the Badlands National Park was 5 minutes down the road. So I was saving $40 a night to camp. And I'm not exaggerating. I was 5 minutes down the road. So recreation.gov, if you want to give that a go, good luck. And I always tell people about this app. It's called Skyscanner. I look at this website almost every day, or at least when I have reception. I absolutely recommend everybody downloads it, or at least looks at it. You can find the cheapest flights on here. And what's really cool is you can, when you're entering your information about your airports, you can do from New York, and they do all 4 airports, all 4, yes, all 4, Newark, JFK, LaGuardia. And if anybody knows the 4th one, please type it in the chat box. I'll give you a second. But you can type in from all 4 New York international airports, and then your destination to everywhere, to everywhere. So it'll show you every single country in the world, how much it costs for those dates from New York, all 4 airports to your destination. Fabio y Marta. Sí, claro. Very good. Newburgh, New York. The name of the airport is Stewart International, and you can get some good deals on coming out of Stewart. Thank you, Fabio y Marta. Now, the equipment, if you're going to be camping, you better be prepared, because you can save a lot of money by cooking your own meals, which really isn't as hard as you may think it is. And also, when you're in the middle of nowhere, there is nothing. There's no Applebee's. There are no Sal's pizzerias anywhere. Not that you would ever want to have pizza in South Dakota, ever in your life. But just saying, you can't have that, as an emergency. Got to have your tent, hammock if you'd like. They're great. This is my first experience with a cast iron stove right here. I didn't know. Now, okay, this is 3 years ago. Let me just disclaim that real quick. I didn't know you can't clean cast iron stoves with soap. So that was a one-time use. And the eggs were good. There was a lot of ash and wood in there. It was tasty. This is me cooking lunch in the parking lot of a welcome center in Montana. Now, a lot of this stuff that you're seeing right here, table, Coleman stove, my cooler, I bought these at garage sales in Arizona, and I think all that together, I think I got it for like $25, and I still use all of that to this day, the same exact ones. Actually, I lied. I don't use the Coleman stove anymore. I upgraded to a newer one. I got a newer Coleman stove at another garage sale. It was brand new, still in the plastic. Got it for $5. Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Some other great resources if you're going to be camping and road tripping along the way. Let Go, Offer Up. They're now one company. Salvation Army, garage sales, classic. Who doesn't love a great garage sale? Thrift stores, and Dollar Tree. I mean, Dollar Tree is perfect for your silverware, cutting board, pots, soap, sponges, utensils and things of that nature, can opener. And so there are ways to do it. There are ways that you can see America on a budget. Trust me, I'm doing it. Now, not everyone's going to be sleeping in their tent or in their Toyota Camry like me. Other people can live a lot more comfortably if they have an RV, if they have a van, maybe if they just have a bigger car than I do. It's possible. It really is. And it's really, really not that bad. I promise you. You just need an open mind. So why? Why should we take the time and the money and invest that into seeing our country? Because this country's nature is so different everywhere you go. It's absolutely outstanding. It's so beautiful. It's inspiring. It motivates me to be better. And unfortunately, things can happen. I mean, COVID, we couldn't go anywhere, couldn't do anything. Forest fires, bugs. I mean, this entire forest right here, that is not a result of forest fire. That's a result from a beetle eating the trees. These are things out of our control that we would never think of. Like, oh yeah, it'll be there. Not true. Not true. We don't know that. We don't know if it'll be there. And that's why for the last 8 years, I've been traveling as much as I have been, because first and foremost, I love traveling, but also because I don't know if it's going to be there. I really don't know. And I can't wait. I got to get out there. I said this in the beginning. America is our home. You know, it's so beautiful here. And I'm so proud to see the deserts and the mountains, the lakes, the swamps, the icebergs, the crater lakes, the redwoods. By the way, before we finish and get to the Q&As, you have to go see the redwoods. Pictures, videos, they do not do the redwoods justice. You please, if there's really anywhere you should go, I don't want to tell you where you should go, but I highly recommend and encourage you to go check out these redwoods, because I have never seen anything like this before in my life. I have never seen an enormous living being that has been around for thousands of years, some of them hundreds of years, some of them thousands of years. It's absolutely remarkable. And unfortunately, there's only 5% of the redwoods remain in the world today. The rest, we chopped them down in the 1800s and the early 1900s before we were able to save what was left. And please just take the time to see where you come from and really appreciate this land, because it is so beautiful. You know, take the opportunity to reconnect with some family members, some friends. You know, maybe you can bring your grandkids out there, or your nephews, your nieces, your daughters, your sons. You know, show them where we come from. And it's really empowering. It's really, really motivating just to see and share this land with everybody, because this land is for everybody. So today we talked about the difference between a national park and a national forest, both spectacular and beautiful in their own way. The America the Beautiful Pass. So a lot of the times, I do want to say this real quick before we get to the question and answer. I know we're running out of time. A lot of the times, if you don't have a national park pass, you can just buy it on the spot at certain national parks, though. So for example, I don't know if New River Gorge, which is a new national park in West Virginia, I'm not sure if they're going to be selling them there, but I know the monsters out west will definitely be selling the America the Beautiful passes. Or, you know, always just Google it and that will tell you the answers. Plan ahead, please plan ahead. It's so important. Write down your definites, write down where you absolutely have to go so that you don't miss out and don't lose the time on where you actually and really want to go. Quality over quantity. You know, this might be bigger than traveling. This might be a little life lesson right here too. Quality is so much better than quantity. I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies every day of the week. I want to thank Paul Doherty again. I want to thank Larchmont Public Library for having me here today. And I also want to thank each and every single one of you for taking the time out of your day to be here. Paul and I are actually talking about, I'm going to be I'm going to be in person live at the Larchmont Public Library, May 27th, 7 p.m. We're going to be doing a live program there. We're not sure exactly which topic we're going to choose yet, but I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody and talking to everybody about their experiences. And again, thank you all so much for being here. Paul, is there anything else that you'd like to say before? Oh no, we got to do question and answers. Does anybody have any questions